specifically to meet the needs of learners who struggle to thrive in traditional educational settings. We are part of a wider educational group called Cambridge Online Education, and the school within that context has set itself a really clear mission. And that mission is to provide a flexible and supportive and high quality alternative provision pathway that enables students to re-engage with learning and make meaningful academic and personal progress. So sometimes we have students who come to us and are with us for a short period of time, and sometimes those students stay for a little bit longer. And that depends really on what the outcomes and the purpose of those students coming to work with us is. From the very start at Bridge Online School, we've been focused on inclusivity, particularly supporting students with SEND and those students with social, emotional and mental health needs, and also those students requiring interim or alternative provision. And I think the key feature for us is that we have an online delivery model, which allows students to access one-to-one live lessons, which are also recorded. That means that regardless of location, we can remove barriers such as anxiety, medical needs, or placement gaps. And that's really, really important to us because we are trying to provide something unique and slightly different in the marketplace. I think a defining feature of what we do is that we've got a deliberate SEN focus. We are supported by qualified teachers. We've all got QTS. We've got one-to-one teaching specifically, and we are able to personalise and adapt our approaches to each of the different learners' needs. Now, the school's early growth has reflected both the demand and the trust from schools and local authorities who are seeking reliable provision, and that's important to us because we haven't tried to hurry this up. We've tried to build slowly and purposely with the right staff and the right curriculum at the right time. As a new and developing provision, we've moved rapidly from concept to making an impact, and we're building credibility through very careful quality assurance and clear safeguarding processes, and we align ourselves with local authority expectations or the expectations of a school, and we're happy to do any due diligence that's asked of us. This particular first slide is kind of very introductory, and it sets the context for the school's progress over the first academic year, and it highlights really not just the numerical growth, but the establishment of our really sort of strong foundations. And these include very robust governance from our governance board, and a commitment to due diligence wherever it's required, and a clear values-led approach centred on student wellbeing, engagement and outcomes for those students. And the following couple of slides outline how this vision has been translated into growth in student numbers and staffing capacity and local authority partnerships and SEND provision across our wider group. Because as part of Cambridge Online Education, we are able to provide not just the kind of core provision, but we can provide all sorts of fantastic and interesting other courses from the arts-based curriculum. I think what's been really important is over this last academic year from September to now, we've been building up our base, and we're now a trusted provider for a number of different local authorities and schools, and we're really pleased about that. Moving on to the next slide. This really just gives you an idea and an overview of the kind of growth that we've experienced between now and April, the end of last term. So between September and April, we've had significant growth in our student cohort, and we've gone from literally 0 enrolled students to 20 active students. In fact, we hit 21 today, which is really, really nice. I think what's notable about that is that because we are such a specialist provision, and we are working with children with a real complexity of needs, then it sometimes takes a little bit of time for local authorities and schools to find us. And this is one of the reasons why we're doing things like this webinar, which we'll be posting later on to LinkedIn and to social media, because it's important that we get our name out there. And we've done that increasingly with a number of local authorities. Also, it's been a very measured growth. So rather than kind of trying to rapidly expand it without that sort of structure, the student growth has been very intentional, and it's been paced to ensure that we've got good quality provision, that safeguarding is in place, and that we continue with that personalised level of support for each of the learners that we're working with. And each student placement reflects very careful consideration of need and suitability, and also the school's capacity to deliver those effective outcomes. Many of the students joining us have previously struggled with attendance, have got high levels of anxiety, or they've had unmet SEND needs, or they've had real placement disruption, making re-engagement a key indicator of success. And one I think of the very positive factors is that when we get a young person, they tend to stay with us for some time, which is great for them and great for us. So I think that the growth from kind of a zero base to sort of 20 plus students in these first two long terms does demonstrate that there is an unmet need out there in the sector, but it also, I think, demonstrates confidence from the referrers, from local authorities and schools and multi-academy trusts in what we're doing, which is great. I think the other thing that's good about the growth that we've had so far is it's allowed us to, as we've grown, to refine our systems. We've made our onboarding better, we've made our baseline assessment better and our progress tracking better, and our communication with stakeholders is improving all the time. And that's really, really important. And the early data that we've been able to gather during this time has shown that we've been continuously improving, and I think this supports those evidence-based discussions with the commissioning bodies that we've been having. Student growth has also provided us with a foundation for developing our structured routines. These are really essential for that long-term engagement I was talking about. And while the numbers remain deliberately manageable at the moment, the trajectory that we're on really indicates scalability when aligned with appropriate staffing and governance. And that's important to us. We want to grow, we want to provide a service for as many children as possible. The measured increase in students does highlight our commitment to sustainable growth, and it ensures also at the same time that each learner receives the attention and the flexibility and the specialist support, I beg your pardon, required to succeed. The focus moving forward is not only on increasing numbers, but on maintaining those really high standards and positive outcomes, and continuing to develop the positive relationships with our referring partners as we expand. In terms of staffing capacity, that's been really important too. We've grown from essentially me and then my colleague Anna, who's actually on this webinar, to now about to just over 10 colleagues. So we've moved from a kind of single founder-led model to a large and increasing team. And I think this growth in the staff reflects, if you like, a strategic response to this increase in demand that we're seeing. It also reflects a complexity of learner needs, and that's really, really important. It shows the importance also with the staff recruitment that we're doing of having that multidisciplinary expertise that comes out of alternative and SEND provision, and all our staff are SEND specialists. The expanded team that we've developed over the last 8-9 months includes all qualified teachers and specialist staff, and that enables us to create greater individualisation, and it's also allowed us to improve our pastoral support as well. It's moved us from, in effect, a kind of reactive delivery style to a more resilient operational model, and our staff kind of collaborate, share their experience, and that also provides continuity for learners. For example, if we find that one student is not getting on with a particular member of staff, we've got the flexibility to be able to change that member of staff within the same subject content, and that's really useful because it gives that flexibility to the students as well. Our staff recruitment is focused primarily on professionals with experience in online education and SEND, and with alternative provision. So all the teachers that we brought on board are really kind of aligned with our ethos and our delivery model. Increasing the staffing also has allowed us to strengthen safeguarding, attendance monitoring, which has taken on a new member of our admin team, and allows us to communicate better with families and schools and local authorities. And importantly, this growth reduces the reliance on one or two individuals who were there at the beginning, i.e. me, my colleague Anna, and it allows us also to build in succession planning and quality assurance. I think it's also showing that the organisation is developing a lot of maturity and a readiness to scale ourselves responsibly to the different demands that we will have from local authorities and schools, and it's definitely improved the quality of the day-to-day delivery. As we grow, we're going to continue to embed our systems and our shared practice, and the staffing growth will remain very closely linked to student numbers and complexity, ensuring that provision remains effective, compliant and person-centred. And that actually is a really deliberate approach on our part to make sure that we remain a credible and reliable provider. In terms of our local authority and school partnerships, we've moved on very, very quickly. We're working with multiple local authorities and schools. Some examples of recent referrals have been Stoke and Worcestershire and Coventry and Salford and Gloucestershire. Ooh, spelled Gloucestershire with two H's. That's not very good, is it? I think here, Oxfordshire and Cambridgeshire. And in establishing these partnerships within the first academic year, I think it reflects both the quality of the provision and our understanding of local authority requirements and school requirements, particularly around safeguarding and quality assurance and value for money, and also very importantly, due diligence. We make sure that any partnerships that we develop with local authorities or schools, we are clear that we are undertaking the due diligence that's appropriate and will allow the school or the local authority to pass their appropriate Ofsted inspection. Our engagement with multiple authorities now demonstrates, I think, our flexibility and adaptability to different commissioning models and different referral pathways. All local authorities seem to operate very slightly differently, and we're happy to be flexible around that. And passing that due diligence process for additional local authorities across the wider group allows us to not only provide access to Bridge Online School, but also allows us to offer wider services within the bigger Cambridge Online group as well. The due diligence that we go to typically involves scrutiny of our safeguarding policies, staff qualifications, the governance structure, data protection, how we deliver curriculum, and the successful outcomes that we have. And also it allows us to demonstrate our robust internal systems as well. And these partnerships we're developing allow us to support pupils awaiting placement, anyone requiring a sort of interim provision, or indeed needing specialist online support as part of reintegration or alternative pathway. And we are working very collaboratively with schools to ensure the continuity of curriculum in alignment with an individual education plan. So we'll work with the school to look at a young person's education health and care plan, and we will actually take part in the review process of that education and care plan as well. And so we are working closely to look at gaps in curriculum, and then we're fitting into the curriculum gaps that the school has identified that these young people have. And I think very importantly, the relationships that we're building with schools and local authorities are built on clear communication, transparency about what we do, and the outcomes rather than short-term placement filling. As these partnerships deepen, we're hoping that we'll be well positioned to contribute to wider inclusion strategies, Section 19 duties for local authorities and schools, and also preventative approaches that reduce long-term disengagement. And the expansion of local authority relationships is one of our goals and will remain carefully managed to ensure that quality is maintained while reach increases across the region and the wider group. And lastly, I think it's important to let you know how we fit into the wider Cambridge Online Education Group model. So SEND provision is a real central pillar of Bridge Online School's offer, and this extends across the wider education group through our SENCO, my colleague Anna, and currently SEND support is being offered and delivered to over 50 students enrolled on OCAD courses. That's the Online College of Art and Design, another part of our group. So this kind of demonstrates our impact beyond the core Bridge Online School cohort. It also allows us to offer a wider variety of subjects to students who might come to Bridge, and it also makes sure that the SEND consistency in this in assessment and planning and review is there for every learner, and that's really, really important to us. And our SENCO's involvement at every stage of this ensures that all the statutory requirements are met, that support plans are robust, and reasonable adjustments are embedded into teaching and assessment that our teachers deliver. For me, providing those SEND services at scale requires strong systems and clear communication and skilled staff, all of which have been developed alongside the school's growth. And our ability to support more than 50 SEND learners across the group, I think, reflects both demand and confidence in the provision's effectiveness. This model that we've developed also allows for knowledge sharing and professional development and continuous improvement across the group where SEND is concerned, from our specialists and in particular from our SENCO. For anyone from a commissioning body, from a local authority, for example, or a SEND commissioner, this really, I think, demonstrates that capacity that we've got and the experience and the track record of supporting complex needs. And within the wider group, SEND provision is definitely not treated as an add-on, but as a core strength that informs curriculum design, teaching approaches, and pastoral care. And as we continue to grow, SEND services will remain a defining feature and supporting our inclusive education approach and the improved outcomes for our young people, and sustainable partnerships across local authority schools and their wider education groups. And I think that's really important to me, because with the young people that we're working with, sometimes what we're able to offer within Bridge is enough, but sometimes they want to do things in a kind of wider capacity as well, and we're able to tap into those other courses and provisions across the wider group. Thank you very much for listening to me. First time I've done that, so it's been really interesting anyway. If you have any questions, please let me know. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be posting this to our LinkedIn page and our social media and our website, just so that there is something to refer back to. I was hoping this would take around about 20 minutes, and it has. But I'm here for questions if anybody has any. If anyone kind of wants to raise their hand, I'm more than happy to go through things. And I'm just going to come back off the stop sharing element and go back into the main Teams here and just see if we've got any questions or any thoughts from anybody. Just leave that live for a little bit, and pop on the chat. If anyone has any questions, I think because you've been on the webinar now, it creates automatically a chat function, which will link you back into the webinar. So if anyone wants to drop us a message at any point, that would be amazing. So thank you very much for attending, and I'm going to keep this going just for another couple of minutes, just in case. And then for those of you who have attended, thank you very, very much for your time. I don't know if anybody in my team has got anything else to add. No? Okay. Thank you ever so much. And hi, Anne. Let me just turn your microphone on. It looks like it's off at the moment. Yeah, I can't hear you. I don't know if your mic's off there. It might be one of those automatic things. Let me just allow mic. Oh, here we go. Has that worked? I think you get the option to turn your mic on and off now.
Yeah, I do. Thank you. How does it work? Is it a provision that we need to pay for? Is it a referral basis? Basically, what's the process if we were interested in referring any students?
Yeah, so may I ask whereabouts you're from, Anne? Anna, sorry.
Yeah, from Coventry.
Okay, hi Anna. Yeah, we're actually already working with Coventry Local Authority through CAP. So I believe within the Coventry system, if you contact Coventry Alternative Provision and Donna Wood,
Okay.
she can connect you to us. If you want me to send you a referral form directly, then I'm happy to do that. Essentially, because we are kind of integrated into Coventry systems now, I think you make a referral to them in the normal way that you refer to CAP, and then they pass that referral on to us with I think a unique identifying number, and then I can respond to that, and then I'm allowed, I think, once you've done that, to make direct contact. And what we normally do is we try and set up a meeting with the school, and also then subsequently with the school and the parent and the young person as well, just to see if they'd be happy to work in an online environment. And you'd be surprised how many young people really like that compared to what they've normally been doing. So we tended to find it works really effectively. We've got currently 3 young people from